Welcome, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3's Black Ice 11.2, and of course we're playing as the United States of America. Now, oh boy, I forget. Is it Song? Sorry, I forget names. They post recommended to build divisions without HQs. I'm going to pass that along, because you will get a lot of HQs once the war starts, they say, as America. Again, I've not played as America, so I do not know. Now, we will be mid-41. We will be sending a bunch of divisions to the Philippines and Guam in particular, which will be before the war. So those either will need to be pre-existing divisions. Stillwell. Was he a divisional commander at this time? Is he still a forward? Yeah, that's good. Well, yes, you are, of course, first over there. Okay, so let's speed this up. I just don't think I can get through, well, almost 2 years in a sitting here. Now let's speed this up to the max speed. Wish there was something in between max and this, and the second one down, but something that will give me a little better time to react to things. Okay, Iran, no. Insular blueprints. Hope they were friendly peoples. Friendly nation and stealing their blueprints. Trust me, there is various industrial and other technology espionage going on between friendly nations. Okay. Officers. Now we have 110% officers, but we're not really building up our military right now, so we're not using them, but I think we will start at some point. Okay. Sending craft flotillas. Let's see if there's a more pressing thing we need. Okay, we can invest. Okay, aluminum mines online. That'll cost us 2,000 money. And construction has finished, so we've paid for our construction. Help. You don't really mine aluminum. Now I know. Did I talk about things I'm not sure on? Maybe not, but aluminum or aluminium. I contend that those are two different words that mean the same thing. Aluminium is the British word, not just pronunciation. It is actually spelled different. And aluminum is the American English word. So two different words mean the same thing. It comes from aloe. I don't know why Hungary has this here. I'm not sure, but most of the aluminum comes from bauxite. It's an aluma or whatever type thing, and it's formed in the tropics with in wet regions, and it needs I forget some of the details, but it's formed in the tropics. And I know, like Ghana today, because there's a big lake here, because they've dammed up the river here, and they have it locally, the bauxite, and you need a lot of electricity to make aluminum, because you have to electrify the bauxite as part of its process, I believe. So you need lots of electricity to make aluminum. So no electricity, no aluminum. So I'm not quite sure whether there was sometime in the distant past or something, the conditions there, I don't know, that get the bauxite. But the bauxite isn't the only limiting factor. It's also, and so most there are today. I know there are some aluminum manufactories down, in this part of the world. but a lot of it is just simply mined and like brought to the U.S. or some other place where you have better access to the large amounts of electricity. Because unless you have a local good source of electricity, like a hydropower plant or something like a coal or oil or whatever you want to burn locally, unless you have it there, you're either shipping in huge amounts of, in the modern day sense, would be coal or oil, because you're not going to do it off of just a few wind farms. I'm sure you could eventually make enough windmills or whatever to do it, but it's not just going to be a simple, easy, a few wind turbines to do it. You got to do a lot of electricity. So you're going to be shipping in either a lot of oil or coal, or you might as well just ship the bauxite out. You're going to have to be doing one or the other. So unless you have both locally, it's better just to mine it and ship it. I know you wanted a lecture on aluminum, but it is an important metal, and I have been sort of looking into it for stuff around this time period. Okay, armor car designs. And why it was not just why it was critical, because it's a reasonably strong, very lightweight material, and that's why it was important, but why it was, if you will, a bottleneck in production here. Okay, we probably will get that sometime, but I think we'll do truck and prime mover reliability increase here first. Hey, Eric. Good to have you here, my friend. Mountain HQs have advanced. I'd rather sort of get some of the more generic stuff done. Have you... Oh, Eric, I don't know if you've gotten with Strongarm yet, but you might just be able to get with him and be able to download a PDF copy of his computer's manual. Because I know all of the various things I've ever bought have a download PDF manual kind of thing. So instead of having him take pictures of the manual and or the computer, the manual will probably have diagrams of the computer, and will probably have all the information. Oh, you already did everything? Great. Good to hear. I just thought of that last night and thought I would mention it to you as a solution. Eric was helping out another one of my friends, Strongarm, who both you often see playing here. War Thunder and other things on the channel with a new computer. And Toyjet is here. Don't humor him too much, because he thinks he's a beluga whale. Okay. Thought I had down here in Norfolk. Okay, yeah. Scouting force. Owing. Yeah, let's do Atlantic Squadron. Let's throw them in there. Let's see what type of destroyer this is. Mahan class. Okay. Not that they mean a whole lot of names, but in this game. Iran. No, we're not trading with Iran. Not those strategic resources. I would trade some of this stuff with Iran. Well, mental illness is a problem, and I think we are humoring. Maybe mental illness with a lot of people is not dangerous, and trying to cure their mental illness probably would be a good thing, but unless you're actually going to seriously work to cure their mental illness, um, you know, um, you know, you might just be messing with them harder. Meaning, if you're not doing, such a good job. But so you might think, well, just humor the people with mental illness because it doesn't do any harm. Well, there are sometimes people that need mental help and need to be told that. So yes, looks like you are growing slowly and getting stronger. Yes, right now I have not. I'm only been building, actively building. There's some of these guys sort of in the production line here, but doing some heavy industry. As you can see, I'm switching over to building ships, because you can look here. September 42. There's still probably going to be a lot of war left in September 42 for the battleship to be useful. But and here's February 42. The carriers will get done a little sooner. March 43 for May 43 here for this other battleship. Battleships took a long time to build, so I'm focusing on getting that now. And I don't know whether I should or shouldn't be building more industry. I want to, but I also think I want a big navy, a big navy. The truth doesn't mean, yeah, that's mm-hmm. You really are a beluga, you say. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. And I actually know he doesn't believe he's a beluga. He just wants to pretend he believes he's a beluga. But even that is still. Okay, now we have the Enterprise. Now, I think. Okay, that's the. Okay, yeah, this is it. The CVO. Maybe that's where I should put that last destroyer. Probably, but okay. Whatever. I make mistakes. They can be corrected. Just left. There we go. Okay, so Halsey has 2 carriers and 3 light cruisers and 2 destroyers right now. This is going to be a carrier force here. It is. That's looking at being. We can move some of these other guys over, maybe. As opposed to over here, we see battleship forces with a carrier in support. So there's another one over here somewhere. Click, yeah, Saratoga. Because what I want to keep, I want my battleships to always have some carrier air support with them, and not relying upon shifting fleets and to be momentarily without it. So I always want to. And again, for tactics, what I want to do is I want to have something like the carriers sitting in this sea hex, launching aircraft and attacking naval units in this other sea province, I should say, or whatever you want to call it, sea zone. So that you should not want to get carriers in surface action with the enemy. But I also want to make sure, if we are having surface actions with the enemy, I want to make sure they still have air support constantly with them. Time to haul ass with Halsey. Yeah, that was, I think, a bit of a saying back then. Air Force HQs. Okay, yes, we'll be back. I don't know whether we'll wait all the way until 41 or not, but some of these things, like light anti-aircraft artillery, I believe are upgradable on the ship. Other things like armor thickness and whatnot are not, unless you put it back through the production queue, and we don't want to be doing that. So we are trying to, where I think most critical, push ahead early on. Yep, so this is very different than my normal playthroughs because normally ToyJet is asking me to build battleships and things, but now I'm already doing it. Now we could get some submarine rules on and armored HQs. Very here and work on submarine berthing. Be ready to upgrade there. Good to see both of these. Let's get both H4 and Air Force HQs. Now let's over here. Don't know how much an air wing here. Okay. We are still having a bit of a overdone, in my opinion. Not that these have much suppression, but I don't know how we're going to use these air wing HQ types. Germany, I like to go, hey, because I understand in reality why you would organize and attach air wings to particular fronts, but since I'm a human and playing the game, I just want to go. We'll give you the map so you can see what we're looking at with Germany. You're taking out Poland. I want to be able to find all my fighters and see if there's any fighter wings that are being heavily damaged that I want to take out of combat to have them reinforced, because that'll be better than having to build new ones. Cheaper and faster than building new air wings. Or if I'm looking and seeing air wings that aren't currently operational because I've taken them off from being operating, or if I just like, hey, there's a front, a sector that is in desperate need of fighters, where can I scrape them up from and look and see, and so they're all in one place, or bombers or naval bombers or whatever I'm looking for. I like that. But for Germany, mostly that, we're playing in and around here, and shifting forces around isn't, it's sort of a limited front area. But since the U.S. is going to be global, we're going to have a European theater of operations that potentially, I'm not saying it will or won't, but potentially could, cover all of this, including maybe, I'm just saying potentially, we could be pushing in through the Eastern Front here somehow. Don't know that we will, but it's a potential. So it's potentially all of this, and it's also going to be all of the Japanese elements here, and I don't know, air operations off of here. The Americans, there were a lot of air operations here going after submarine hunting and things like that. So you very well may get need a home front Air Force HQ. So I don't yet know how I'm going to organize up. But like I say, we have a revolt problem. These areas sort of are revolting a bit. So let's see if we can reduce down a bit more. I know these HQs aren't going to be overly useful at that, but it's still better than so now the core armor units. Okay, look at that. That sort of organized up. Does that have, yes. No, Army Mountain is a little ways away. I'm going to Army Mountain. Yes. Well, maybe that Army Mountain is full. Okay, so let's see. Here. Closer one, but it probably is already, yeah, filled up. That's why. Okay, well, we'll just send you down. Well, Pittsburgh, to try to keep the peace down in Pittsburgh. I wanted revolt risk on, and I wanted them to do their worst, but I was thinking historical to, like, I don't know, when we occupy places that may not be, core American territories or something, that they might have revolt risks and whatnot. Not this sort of home front BS. Okay, so now we're at aluminum surplus, so air build speed is much better. Let's just do this if we're going to build any, but we'll let maybe these few build out here. Oh, these are smaller. Okay, yeah, these are two wings here. You can see because they're set up. These were the ones pre-done that were meant to be launched with the Yorktown or the Enterprise, but we'll get them out there. Interception. Okay. Tactics. Okay, so they're at 38, which ain't, bad for this being 38. Move that down to there. And fall wise enforced. Okay, so Germany has taken Poland. Yes. Okay, heavy bomber prototypes have advanced. Sad elements of history, for sure. Okay, yes. We are going to, we will need to do, invest in the scientific community here. Okay. Well, right now we're doing okay. All right, I mean, we're doing pretty good there at 120, but we very well may pump up our industry a lot more. 39, that's okay-ish. 67, that's very good. 360, okay, we got plenty of oil, so we definitely don't need to go after that. See, all of these need 20,000. Well, that just needs 10,000, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, and scientific is 10,000. But we're going to do our scientific community. That'll get our research back up. Energy, yes, you can have energy. There's somebody ranting outside my window. I can't really understand them either, but okay, we were checking. Okay, 1940 and yeah, we want to have better battery capacity. Mexico, Sims class destroyer. Okay, yeah, I guess you can do that. That won't hurt me. Okay, air superiority tactics. That is here. I understand why this. Like I was saying earlier in the start of the live stream, and I was talking with Eric and a few others about why I think I am being shadow banned. That's probably well, I don't know, suppressed, shadow suppressed on here. And because a few times, for some reason, and even like some of these live streams that have literally the same title or almost exactly the same title used for different live streams with the same thumbnail or virtually so, sometimes this just takes off a few days later, and it's on it. And I can see from the statistics, it's all from YouTube recommended. So either like recommend, on the side of your screen over here, you get, while you're playing somebody else's video, you get recommended what other possible things, or recommended by your home screen recommendations. And so it's what most of those are. And so there's not somebody searching for something like Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice and finding it, like somehow maybe triggered from, say, being posted on an external forum. Few times I've had videos take off that I trace back to where they're coming from. They're coming from some pirating website for the software, and they just link to the video as to what the software is about, kind of, game is about. But these are all coming from recommendations. So if YouTube were to recommend my videos more, literally almost like 10 times the number of views I get. So I figure, and this is just a few times recently, so I really figure I'm shadow banned. Because I can go a whole video without mentioning Nazis and Hitler and whatnot, but yeah, we're nav tactics and gun tricks and things. So I don't necessarily think it's because, like I mentioned, anti SJW or anti woke things. Yeah, we're gonna go here. Strike tactics up, or something like that. Because I don't really think I'm big enough and important enough. Well, this really fits Naval HQs. Not for them to do it. I just really think it is based. Have this fleet command way over here. Okay, we have this fleet. Let's attach him to fleet here. Let's do a little organization here. Okay, so what do we have here? Pacific High Command. U.S. Battle Force HQ. Okay, so this is Pacific High Command under MacArthur. General Douglas MacArthur. Now, he was never Pacific High Command. There wasn't a specific high command until, as far as I would say, you might catch me on a technicality here, but until Nimitz is put in charge. And where MacArthur was a general in the United States Army, and you may notice all of that extra, what they sometimes call scrambled eggs, on his hat, all the extra stuff. I don't know how much that was an affectation of MacArthur or just already previously established stuff, because he was like a field marshal or something like that in the Philippines Army. That is why he had all that extra stuff on his hat, his cap, that you don't find in any of the other generals, is because that was specifically because he was like a field marshal of the Philippines Army. So that is sort of a high command or whatever, but again, specifically for the Philippines, which doesn't affect his rank in the United States Army. It just gives him control over the Philippines forces, and I think he liked the way it looked. So, like, I do think it's part of his affectation, yes. Okay, but we have out here, okay, Asiatic Fleet, Eisenhower, Philippines Department. Now, Eisenhower, for a while, if I'm not mistaken, was MacArthur's executive officer. And Eisenhower thought MacArthur was very, very showy. Well, why? This is sort of weird. Okay. I'm not saying that this wasn't historical at the time, but I don't see why we'd have it under Eastern Defense Command. So we're going to put it under Pacific. Again, I just don't know enough. Like, I know better on Germany. Who do we have else that we can place here? MacArthur, Patton. I don't know if unlike Hearts of Iron 4, it only shows us who's available and not okay. Nimitz. We're gonna have to think about this because this is a tough one. I'm sure there's also a Nimitz that's an admiral that's high skilled. So we'll have to see how we organize that up. Reconnaissance aircraft design, which is right here. Okay, 3 large fuel tanks over there. And yes, you can have some metal. Okay, we now have the Yorktown's aircraft. Have we deployed the Yorktown yet? Yes, I think we did over to here. Yes, there it is. Okay, so what we're going to do, I want to make sure I get it to the right spot. So we're going to put you out to sea. Oh, pause. Okay, let's deploy Yorktown group here. Or did it try to stick it down? I want to make sure it's on the Yorktown, so we're going to rebase the carriers. Okay, now it's auto saving, and now we're there. Okay, now that is good. So back to port. Again, this is going way too fast to actually play it. I know we're just going through. There we go. So now it is definitely, at least it should be definitely attached to. I get too big for his command size. Okay. Peacetime military service. President Roosevelt signing the STSA, Selective Training and Service Act on September 16, 1940. Well, this is about a year before that, I think. Okay, began the first peacetime draft in the United States. It also established the Selective Service System as an independent agency responsible for identifying and inducting young men into military service. Roosevelt named Hershey to head the Selective Service on July 31st, 1941, where he remained until President Richard Nixon in 1969. This preparatory act came. So that tells you how important this really was. That once you got the guy in charge, didn't pay attention until Nixon comes around to maybe put somebody younger, more effective. I mean, it was important during World War II, and yes, during the Vietnam War, they were still doing it, but it was just an agency that ran itself, I believe. Such as increasing training and equipment production had not yet been approved. Nevertheless, it served as a basis for conscription programs that would continue to the present. The act set a cap of 900,000 men to be training at any given time, and limited military service to 12 months. Okay. We'll gain some manpower, get a little more descent. We have very little descent now, or don't, and we'll lose descent, which we don't have any, and we gain neutrality. We will do this. I don't know why this is happening. I mean, it may be coded to happen right now, approximately a year early. But we will do this. Now, those live here on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or I don't get to see. I do get to see the Facebook chat, but I don't get to see anything posted until later if I or go over on Twitter. So if you happen to be watching there, and I know a few people have watched at least bits of this over on Twitter. Should women be, are equal rights and equal responsibilities that go with the rights? You got to have both. Are you really for that, people? I know you have, equal pay for men and women, equal pay. Yeah, good. And we can argue about details of that. Equal pay for everybody the same race. Yep, totally agree. Way it should be. Yep. Should women have to sign up for the draft, and should women be drafted? And I'm not talking in World War II. I'm talking now that we have a draft in the United States, or possibly in your country. I know many viewers are outside of the U.S. Guess who? Don't quite get that, Arno, but whatever. Should women have to sign up for the draft? And if you're going to draft people, should women have to be also drafted? Now, I know, like, I do watch the Greg Gutfeld show sometime, and there's the woman commentator who's a skinny little woman. Yeah, right, draft me for the military, and what can I do? And yeah, she's a skinny little thing that I don't know that she can do a single pull-up. But you know what? She can sit at a keyboard and do a lot of administrative jobs. If you're going to draft people, which would free up a combat soldier. So yes, I am not one of these people that are going and saying all women should, be drafted in the Army and be put under the frontline infantry services, because I think there's problems with that. But if you really ideologically actually believe in equality of the sexes, do you also, if you do, you must believe that women should be drafted. But I don't know, outside of Israel, I'm not even sure of the details, though I know a lot of women do need to do national military service there. Gal Gadot, the actress I know, has done so. Should they have to sign up for the draft? And if there is a draft, be drafted into the military as well. They can go, again, like I say, can be home front, non-combat type duties. Now they should get firearms training and that kind of thing, just in case something goes wrong, or just as they're walking around a base and they see a firearm on the ground, and know how to make sure how to check that it's unloaded, make sure to carry it safely to to put it back in the armory or something. If they trip across a hand grenade, not to know what is the pin appropriately in, is it safe, and then how to not make it unsafe so it goes boom, and how to return it to the armory or something. So if they're in a military environment, should women sign up for the draft, and should they be drafted as well? And if you do not think so, then you truly do not believe in equal rights for men and women, and everything you say, in my opinion, everything you say about that is BS. It's special rights for women, and men and women are different. So yeah, I don't know. Love to hear your comments. No one's been brave enough to comment live here. They don't want to be canceled by the women's lobby. If they say, oh, they should be drafted, you'll be canceled. Or if they go, no, they shouldn't have to be drafted because they're not equal to men. And they should not be treated equally before the law as men. So they're not afraid to go one way or the other, because either way is a minefield. Get forward air control advance. But I'd love to hear if anybody's brave enough to comment, and if so, what their thoughts on this would be. Okay, Enterprise is launched. Yes, we have the Enterprise. It is launched. It is there with the Yorktown. Okay, help the Allies now to win, so men can never be necessary. So our men will never be necessary. So our men will never be cash and carry. Okay, cash and carry. A special session, the United States Congress on 21st of September 1939, as World War II was spreading throughout Europe, the U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt requested a policy of cash and carry to replace the Neutrality Act of 1936. The revision allows the sale of materials to belligerents as long as the recipients arrange for transport using their own ships and paid immediately in cash. The purpose was to hold neutrality between the United States and European countries while still giving material aid to Britain. Various policies forbade the selling of implements of war or lending of money to belligerent countries under any terms. The economic situation in the U.S. was rebounding at this time after the Great Depression. Well, this starts rebounding the Great Depression, starts getting rid of it. It's causing the end of it. But there was still a need for industrial manufacturing jobs. Hello, Evolve 117. How you doing? So, let me see. What do I want to say about this? I'm not sure if I don't know if there's technically anything that's saying that the Axis can't buy weapons. I'm not sure on that detail of it. But it was also aimed at France as well as Britain to be able to sell them weapons. But what the American populace still very much knew that the major reason that the government used to get Americans into the First World War was the sinking of the Lusitania way out in international waters, not just like, hey, we're sitting outside of an enemy port and we're sinking ships. And there's still debate today whether they were carrying war materials on the Lusitania or not, because of some way some of the stuff blew up after it hit. I don't know if that's ever been satisfactorily cleared up. The Lusitania, I believe, I hope I'm not getting things wrong. What's the best tip for using the Black Ice mod? Are we talking install or are we talking playing? Those will send me two different directions. I could try to help out, but please give me a little more information. So, the Lusitania is sunk in international waters. It is, I believe, an American flagged vessel. Playing. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. And after that and the uproar, Germany cancels its unrestricted submarine warfare against neutral vessels, I guess, basically in the zone. Basically, you sort of like for a while, the Germans got a surface, go, hi there, we want to inspect, if you don't stop, we'll start shooting with our surface guns, blah, 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 making submarine warfare a lot less practical. It was changing it back to unrestricted submarine warfare in the, greater European sea sphere, it's out in this sort of area, that got America into the war. So what they're trying to do here is to say, hey, American flag shipping is not carrying weapons. I think those women are actually carrying like lever action rifles or something in those boxes or something. They did sell a bunch of those to Britain. So don't sink our ships in the zones. And we're not carrying war weapons, and the ship might just be going to Portugal or might be going to Spain or Ireland or whatever. And even if it's going to Ireland, it's not carrying weapons. And so don't sink our ships. But we are selling our weapons. So you had to have a British flagged or a French flagged or whoever's flagged ship show up in an American port and get loaded under cash and carry and take the weaponry away. So you could sit out here And if you see a British flag vessel, you can sink it, but you shouldn't be sinking in American vessels because they will not be carrying, war materials or whatever. I don't know exactly how far you expand the definition or contract it, because food theoretically could be it. And I do know that for a while, they would literally fly some of the fighter aircraft that they were giving over to Britain to an airstrip or whatever along the Canadian border, and they would, drive, using the propeller or whatever, right up to the American border, and a Canadian guy would walk across the border and hook a rope onto it and literally tow it under not under any power, out of America into Canada. And they did this on camera and made sure everybody know it. Just to saying, hey, the Americans are not actively delivering stuff to us. We are carrying it away. Sort of a little BS because, hey, you could load up a train car and, but it's the idea that you were coming to America, you were buying in America, and you were carrying it away. And we weren't getting involved in the war. So that is very much how it was happening. It was meant at the time to support the Allies actively. It was meant at the time to try to reassure the American public that we were not going to get involved in the war. Now, I'm not saying FDR wanted us involved in the war in September, November 1939. He does, by sometime in 1941, probably does want us involved after the fall of France, actively involved in the war at that point. But he only wants it to happen with the overwhelming consent of the American people, not trying to drag us in unwillingly. I'm not the greatest Roosevelt expert. I don't know what he was thinking again in 39, but definitely wants to help out. So that's the situation. And in economic terms, remember what I said. The biggest problem with the Great Depression was no customers for the manufactured products. And in other countries like Germany, who does go through some depressions, of course, they're mostly getting out of depressions when America does not have hyperinflation. It does not. It actually has deflation, meaning money becomes more valuable, buys more stuff for a while during it. But the reason that Germany has hyperinflation is that they have war loans and other things to pay off, and they try to just print German money to pay it off with. So with Germany, they're getting out of their depression by making products for the wrong markets. They're making products for the governments. So they have to control their own inflation needs elements. Because again, like I know I've explained, if a bunch of people are making automobiles in factories that are being sold to the public, probably, unless you're talking like it's a luxury automobile manufacturer, but if you're talking something like Volkswagen or Ford, probably most of the factory workers will be able to afford the automobile. So they will have something to save their money up on and spend their money up on. But if they're making tanks, they're getting paid, but they're not necessarily having a product that they can buy. So it becomes somewhat inflationary. And this also happens with the U.S. and what's going on here. During the Depression, people just don't have money to buy things with because they don't have jobs. So there's nothing to sell your goods to. So businesses either go out of business or just shut down, which is a different thing, meaning the company still exists on paper. It still owns, a factory or a bunch of factories or whatever, but there's nobody working in it. It's just shut. So it's not quite gone out of business. It's, meaning it hasn't necessarily gone through, some have, but gone through bankruptcy and or disappeared. It's just, I'm, a shoe company. Well, no one's buying my shoes. Let's just shut the factory down. Wait for times to get better. Now, maybe if that factory was in too much debt or whatever, and then it would have to go through, being sold off and parted out. But there's nobody to buy anything, so banks end up owning everything. So what this is doing is the wrong customers. You are getting what the only saving grace is that a lot of this is for overseas customers. So yes, they're making stuff for France and Britain or whatever, bullets or aircraft or whatever. But that then puts people's money back in people's pockets. So they go, hey, I'm going to buy a new suit, or I'm going to buy a new pair of shoes. So the shoe factory opens up, because they're not yet in the war situation when all shoe factories become boot factories and all the boots are bought by the government. So it's this sort of golden period for American development, just as the start of the war. So we're going to do this. Cash and carry. We're going to get a little bit of dissent, but we can handle that. Okay. Now, playing. Your tips for playing. Okay. Well, Black Ice is very different than standard Hearts of Iron 3. I think it is very good, but it takes a while to learn it. You're not going to learn it before the starting of the first, playthrough. If you're really feeling daunted, of course, I would recommend watching some of my YouTube videos on playing the different countries. And I know it takes a long time to go through them. I pause and talk like this a lot, but you can always tell that I'm paused and fast forward things if you want. You just got to make sure your industries, your technologies that are, for whatever nation you're playing, that are core for that nation. Meaning Germany doesn't need to worry about ship technologies that much. You need to worry about tanks and fighters and those things, and build enough of them. And then figure out where to put overwhelming attacks on the enemies and punch deep into them and take them out. I don't know. I mean, it's a big open-ended question. I know. Evolve. Cool medium armor designs. What model I think is now? I'm going to go with, it's going to be the Grant Lee type things. But let's take a quick look here. Arnold likes to know what the models are for. And it is still the Christie. Christie T3. We just upgraded, and it's still the Christie T3. Okay. Okay, well, assault guns. Do we want to build assault guns? Did the Americans have assault guns? They definitely did not do what I would call an infantry tank in the sort of British sense. And the light armor, we can take that look there too. Brigade's light armor is the M2 light tank, do the 230 cals or 250 cals, whatever those are. I don't know. I think they're 30s, but I'm not sure. Yeah, definitely not a British style infantry tank. The Americans did not do. They definitely did tank destroyers, and I would go with maybe light tank destroyers, because if we're talking sort of like the M10 and the M18, would those be light as opposed to the sort of like the Martyrs, as opposed to like Jagdpanzer IV kind of things with heavier armor? So I'd go, Americans did light tank destroyers. They definitely didn't do heavy. Probably not medium. Assault guns. I struggle with micromanaging the army. I try to use the AI, but setting up the objectives. Yeah, no, Black Ice is not meant to be played with the AI. So you need to want to slow down and micromanage things. That is sure. That is very true. If you are wanting to set up objectives and have your army try to achieve them, the best thing you can do is play Hearts of Iron 4. And even then, I still think the AI does not meet my conditions of achieving the objectives. I draw nice battle plans where I want the panzers to go this path and the infantry to follow in and gobble up the territories, and then I watch them as the panzer force, instead of stays as a coherent like 3 or 4 divisions, all together, they spread out and spread out and spread out and become weak. I see that, so I've given up using the AI on Hoi 4 even. But definitely with Black Ice, you need to micromanage it. And I guess jump into some of my series. It doesn't matter really what nation you're actually going to play, but you can look at some of my German series and jump into the Barbarossa. They're often I use a sort of standard picture. Look for me playing Barbarossa and see how that goes. Before I got into Hoi 4, I played Darkest Hour, and it was a fun game, but it was hard managing the armies and troop movements. Felt slow compared to Hoi 4. Yeah, well, maybe Hoi 4 is the game for you. I really like Hoi 4. There's a lot of really good things with Hoi 4. I still like this Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice better than Hoi 4. I still like this better. It is a more detailed. It's a more detailed game, I would say, in many ways. But you've got to want to play the detail. If you don't want to play the detail, it just becomes a chore. And so it's not for everybody. And I don't want to look. I'm not trying to say I look down on somebody. Well, you can't manage it. No, that's not the point. It's not fun for you. Is how I would look at it. If it's not fun to try to dig in and figure this stuff out. Because I was essentially, not just because you couldn't play it this detailed, but I was essentially doing this with tabletop. Yeah, I hear you about that. Yeah, I don't know. I can't answer hardware questions, because it's your laptop, and by the time you it's probably going to be harder. Probably 45 in this game is going to be harder on your laptop than Hearts of Iron 4 will be on your laptop. I think, because it's a different version of the engine, I think it's probably going to be better for you. Hearts of Iron 4. I think it's going to be better than Hearts of Iron 3 on your laptop. Late war, mid to late war, it will start to chug. So, and they're not doing any more, efficiency upgrades for the engine for Hearts of Iron 3. So, and they have done some of those over the different versions of Hearts of Iron 3, but that's done with, and nothing the modders can really do about that. So, yeah, that's a hardware issue, and I can't solve it other than say buy a better computer. Which everybody I'm sure wants, but it costs money. And I know it's a real issue. I'm not trying to be flippant about it. It's just the way things are with all of this. So I'm sorry I can't really give you great, like, this will solve your problems situation here. Okay. And we're paused again. Okay, Panama has stopped doing money. Cash and Carry Act. Okay, supplies minus 5%. Okay, money plus 5%. Good. Okay, yes, you can have energy. Finland and Ireland has stopped trading. Okay, this sinking of SS Athenia. This is definitely, I forget what movie it made, but it definitely made some of the movies in, like, probably 1940, early 41, talking about talking with this set in and around this. The SS Athena was the first British ship to be sunk by Nazi Germany in the war. The sinking caused dramatic publicity throughout the English-speaking world, with front pages of many newspapers running photographs of the lost ship alongside headlines about Britain's declaration of war. As an example, the Halifax Herald for 4th of September 1939 had a banner across its front page announcing liner Athenia is torpedoed and sunk with in the center of the page Empire at War in outside red print and a Canadian girl. Well, hey, at least they had a Canadian girl. Oh, 10-year. I was thinking someone a bit older than a 10-year-old. Margaret Hayworth was included among the casualties. I was thinking it was a positive story about a Canadian girl. Never mind. Was the first Canadian citizen to die as a result of enemy action. The newspaper widely publicized the story, proclaiming 10-year-old victim torpedoed as Canadian rallying point and set the tone for the coverage of the rest of the war. Yeah. Possibly a mistake? Absolutely not. From everything I know of this was not a mistake in the sense of the skipper of the submarine didn't know exactly. I mean, he might not know that it was the Athena, but my understanding is it was still running fully lit up. So, it wasn't running, my understanding, and I'm sure I've known some more details about this thing than I remember right now. But I believe it was running fully lit up at the time and not under, blackout conditions. So it's not like, I see a ship out there and can't quite tell what. They knew it was a passenger liner. It was clearly a passenger liner. Passenger liners at the time often carried cargo. But probably in September 4th, 1939, no cargo was being, military cargo was being carried. And I believe it was leaving Britain. I believe that. I'm not absolutely sure on that detail. If anyone wants to check me and post down below or something if I'm wrong, please do so. So it was not a mistake of what the captains shot at. Yeah, I would say it was probably a practical mistake in the sense of I would have had my Hey Rhaegar. Hi Sun Tung. I think I mentioned you earlier. Don't let the the AI. He's trying. He's learning. Evolve. It's a tough game. I mean, I took to it naturally because I played, these types of things back in the mid '80s. On board games with counters and whatnot. So I've just evolved over time with this. So it comes to me naturally. But if you're just coming at this and you're not used to this kind of stuff, it's a lot to learn. And if you don't like doing the details, it's not fun. And if things aren't fun, you don't want to learn them. So it just wrecks it for you. I get that. It's not being a snobbish, real war gamers like this or that. No, it just, is this fun for you? And that's very much how I take it. Did I say hi, Rhaegar? I hope I did. Okay. Now it was a policy mistake maybe to try to sink passenger liners at this point. Because however much you want to deny the enemy ships that will be turned into troop ships one day and will be hauling war necessary cargoes one day, they're not at this point, and it's still early in the war, and it's just a mistake to do. So we can go possibly a mistake, prove that, or we can go improved relations, game 5. I don't know why this is, gaining dissent in America. I get why and so I was going to go here. And when I looked, 5 dissent. But when I looked here, 3 dissent. So there's only 2 more dissent I will gain. Yeah, I'll lose popularity for the Democratic Party, but this is all effed up anyways, in my opinion. And it's more from the Hearts of Iron 3 side than the mod side to that. Yeah, 4-3 is tough. Some games aren't for others, but I really want to get into the game. I just keep playing Minor Nations, which doesn't. Yeah, the major power. If you're really having trouble with the mechanics, a Minor Nation might be all right for you, but you're not going to be winning or losing. You really need to play a major power. This isn't, again, like Hoi 4, that you sort of can play a minor power and try to be successful with it. It isn't that broken as Hoi 4 is broken in that way. I would say just invest time if you want in my videos, or somebody else's if you don't like my style, and you can skip a little ahead when I'm just talking about history and whatnot if it doesn't interest you. I know it takes time up, but you can look at how I, especially on the Germany, how I'm more. There's definitely organization specials that you'll show how I'm going and reorganizing everything, and all of the Air Force and all of the Army, and see me invading France and see me invading Barbarossa and going into the Soviet Union. You can just watch all of that, and it's going to give you a lot of interesting stuff on how to play it. Struggle because they push fortification. Yeah, Ragar, you're right about that. Evolve, play a game as Argentina, cheat for resources if you want, since it's for the beginning. Yeah, I don't know whether you should. I've never really played it, so I don't know. But something like Romania or Finland might be a good game for you, though. Finland, you're going to get stomped in the Winter War for sure. I mean, just sort of a unfortunate bad situation with the way the game's designed. But you can play Romania and do something like that. That would get you sort of as a helper. Once Barbarossa happens, you can move your Romanian forces in and around here. Learn some of that. Or you could try to, Italy or something. I don't know. Okay. We're going to lose that and lose... we're going to punish the Axis. I'm just going to do it. Our Navy asks for money. Okay, fine. Again, I hate that way they use money in this. I remove that from my mod. Third Reich events. Medium fuel tank. Research. Okay, that's grayed out. And we'll move it over to here. Sure. I wish I had some, the more detailed the question is, how to invade Belgium or something, I can probably answer a little better. But there's just so much on the topic, and I've talked about it. Okay, ammunition capacity in a lot of the different videos, and not that I'm not willing to repeat myself, it just, if I say it all now and then you come in and play it in a few days, how much are you going to remember? But I find this a fascinating game. Actually, I play it less now than I used to because I want to play it for the channel, and where I used to just dig in and play it on my own, and I haven't gone into where I'm having both like a play it for the channel, whether live or just on my own, and then also have my own private games. I just haven't done that yet, so can do single engine fighter, get that sort of going. I could do that. So gamer, how does one invade Belgium? Tell us. We wish to invade Belgium. Okay. Well, the way currently with Black Ice is you have a fair amount of fortresses here, so they're going to be sort of hard to take. So what you want to build is a few fortress busting divisions, and I'm going to humor Toyjet for just a moment here. Build some fortress busting divisions, and I'm not going to go into all that. And so you're going to want to attack. You're going to want to attack this. They'll put a lot of forces in this province here. You'll want to attack it from all three provinces, so it's being attacked on 3 fronts at start, and you want to push into here, which is normally undefended or very weakly defended, and then you want to push across this river into here as fast as you can. Once you also get here, you may want to add another division to be attacking here from 4 divisions, and then you also want to come out through Luxembourg very fast and move up through Bastogne and Arlon. And then, because it's normally overly defended, so it starts to, the unit starts to collapse here, and they withdraw mostly into Liège. And you want to be coming in here as you're pushing along, through here, through Dinant and into Philippeville, coming around this way. And once all this is sort of here collapsed, you move up your fortress busting divisions and your others, and I know it's a hard spot. Normally you want to go around them, but you start your siege of Liège going there while you're pushing around some faster divisions here and coming to get ready into Brussels and attacking Brussels. And then you're coming, maybe it's weak enough at Namur, but definitely coming through here, and you're coming in around and attacking up south of Brussels, and then basically you got to take Brussels and Antwerp, and Belgium falls apart. And of course you're also streaming in German forces across Sedan, through Sedan, across the Meuse River here and deeper into there. I hope that no, you don't need paratroopers in Belgium. They don't help, at least not enough. Normally my paratroopers are still sort of messing around in the Netherlands beforehand. And yes, I would say it's better to have 5 division corps than 2 division corps or 3 division corps that would be historical. The reason is the more divisions in the corps, the quicker the upgrading of the corps skills of the corps commander. You get skills for your units that are below you in combat. So the larger the corps are better in this game. It's sort of a gamey way to do it, but it is better. And yeah, there's also evolved. There's some tutorial videos that I have on corps structures. You can look on my channel, and some of the other. I have a bunch of tutorials on Black Ice and how to set up divisions and all that stuff. That I talk both theory and practice on. So if you want to watch those, they may help you on setting up your various corps and your orders of battle, corps, armies, army groups, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to check those out, you can. I think if you're just willing to put in the time, I know it is sort of self-promotion, put in the time with watching the videos on my channel, you'll get competent with it. I mean, I know there's many hours of videos there, but you'll get very competent with it, and you'll be able to play very well. So did you agree with my plan for invading Belgium? Or not, Toy Jet? Enjoy. Well, we're going to keep the live stream going, but we're going to be ending this episode. So I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. It really does help. And see you next time for even more, yes, more Hearts of Iron.